This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
The following program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, it doesn't matter who the host is.
Boy, isn't that correct. But it surely does not matter who the host is. You are listening to the Rated R Safety Show, and we are coming to you live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida. Today is Tuesday, March the 17th of 2020, day 77 of the year, and only 289 days left before what we are expected to know as the end of the year. And I am saying we are expecting to know the end of the year because at this rate, who knows what's going to happen with everything that's going on. Anyways, how have you been? How has your day, night, evening, all the fun events that have been going on around the world going on with you? It is some scary times, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to sit here and lie and give you a whole bunch of, what we call bullshit here. We're just going to tell it to you real time and what's going on. Anyways, how are you? What do you have going on your neck of the woods? Interesting stuff so far. So I told you that going forward, we were going to do some different things as we did this. So let's do what I said differently starting off. And I'm going to give you the first 3 minutes of feature story news on the Rated R Safety Show right now on Safety FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Countries across the world are moving into stricter social and travel restrictions to fight the coronavirus outbreak. Russia's announced it will close its borders on Wednesday to nearly all foreign citizens. The number of people in Russia infected with coronavirus nearly doubled in a day and stands at 93. FSN's Julia Chapman reports from Moscow.
As well as blocking entry to foreign arrivals, Russia has stopped issuing visas to prospective visitors. The country's sports ministry will cancel all sporting events from Monday, but national authorities have not yet implemented social distancing measures. Only in the capital, Moscow, has the mayor's office declared that schools will be closed from next week and the elderly should remain indoors. Moscow has also extended a list of countries from which arrivals must self-isolate for 2 weeks. It now includes all of Europe and the US. Julia Chapman, Moscow.
The European Commission is planning to ban non-essential travel through its Schengen border-free zone. Authorities in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, meanwhile, say they will jail people who refuse to be tested for COVID-19. It comes as the number of coronavirus cases in India rises to 125, with 3 deaths confirmed. Ishan Garg reports from FSN New Delhi.
With the number of infected individuals climbing in India, Uttar Pradesh has invoked the Epidemic Diseases Act. Under the archaic law, the state assumes special powers to control an epidemic. Currently, the state is testing individuals with a travel history to coronavirus-hit nations such as Italy, China, and South Korea. The state, which borders the capital city of New Delhi, has ordered all public places like schools, swimming pools, and gyms to be shut down. Fresh cases continue to appear in the most populous state in India. It's also home to the popular tourist attraction the Taj Mahal, which has been shut until further notice.
The UK is expected to unveil a new package of economic relief later as the impact of coronavirus social distancing strikes. Britons are being told not to go to bars, restaurants and theatres and to work from home where possible. It's leading to fears of thousands of imminent job losses. The Chancellor Rishi Sunak's expected to announce an added support package for businesses. Markets analyst David Buick says it needs to be substantial.
All these industries that we take for granted on a day-to-day basis, pubs, hotels, anything to do with the leisure industry, which is such a huge part of the UK's economy. Remember, the service sector provides just about 70% of our economy. These are going to require serious financial backing during the course of the next 3 to 4 months.
The chief executive of the British Beer and Pub Association, Emma McClarkin, says it's going to be devastating.
We desperately need to unlock the cash flow situation and reduce our cost burden, but we desperately need help with our staff on temporary redundancy to make sure that the government commits at least 75% to support the wages of those being made redundant.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
So you hear it right now, live and in living color, all the different things that are taking place inside of this little world of ours at this moment. There's not much that I can say, I guess, in a positive light based on what we're seeing. I know, there's so many different things going on, so many different types of information, but I want to be here and I want to cover what's going on, but I also want to cover what's going on realistically based on what we can find in the news. And I'm trying to make sure that all of the news stories that we are sharing with you here are realistic, timely, and also stuff that you're going to care to hear. Good, bad, or indifferent. I have always tried to be as honest as possible with you, hold no punches, give it to you the way that I think it should be done.
Duh.
So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to start covering the news, the way that we do the news, and we're going to discuss it here on the Rated R Safety Show. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever we find in real time as we move forward.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush.
Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so Amazon is looking for 100,000 workers across its brands to meet a huge demand for products online. Meanwhile, current workers are getting a boost where all employees in fulfillment center, transportation stores, and delivery in the U.S. and Canada by $2 an hour through April. This is according to Wall Street Journal reports. So I guess that's a good sign that, certain organizations are able to do a little bit more for some companies, or for some employees, better saying. Because a lot of things that I'm seeing right now is that a lot of places are unable to do that. They do not have the capability of giving you the money that you're looking for, or even job cuts. I've seen a lot of places where they're changing the amount of money that people are making to a lower amount, trying to take a hit across the board as everybody, instead of somebody suffering directly. Multiple people will say it's suffering, but it is not devastating. So there is some suffering, but it's not as devastating as somebody losing entirely their job. Some organizations are able to do that. Not all organizations have been able to pull that off so far. The U.S. military will draw down forces at all 3 bases in Iraq. The move comes as it prepares to hand over to local military operations and overall draw down its military presence there. So that's some other things that are taking place. And a lot of people are saying that this is the reasoning behind it, is they're moving because they wanted to be able to assist in the United States with some potential issues that might arise here. Now, based on that information, I can give you a whole bunch of other stuff that I found, but I also told you at the beginning of the show that I only want to give you credible information on what I'm finding. I don't want to give it to you from what I consider the scarcity websites, because there are a lot of those out there, but I want to give it to you what I'm finding on trustworthy websites at the moment. If we need to have that conversation change, we'll do that further down the line. Anyways, France regulation authorities has slapped Apple with fines of north of $1 billion for antitrust practices. The fine stems from collusion between Apple and its distributors to fix prices of iPads at the same time on other prices. So keeping prices inflated on purpose. They did not price fix on iPhones, however. Apple says that the case is in question is over a decade old and was pretty standard business at the time. Does it justify the means? Probably not. I think the timing's interesting. I'm not saying the world needs to come to a halt because of everything that's going on. I'm just saying, hey, it's pretty interesting that that's the case that is coming up now. Ohio lost a request in court to postpone a Democratic primary scheduled for today. Also voting is Illinois, Florida, and Arizona. Late Monday morning, or late Monday, Ohio health chief ordered polls to close for Tuesday. So this is a developing story as we continue on. This was information that I was able to pull last night. Now, I will tell you, because I am a jackass and like to report on things and find out what's going on, I went to the local precinct that's in my area that's not that far from where I'm located. And I decided to go see how many people were there as the polls opened this morning. Now, they did open at 7. I think I arrived there a little after 8, closer to like the 8:30 time frame. And I think I spotted 5 cars in the parking lot. I walked in, not that I was there voting, but I wanted to take a look at what was going on. And everybody who was inside of the polling place were workers. No one was voting. And I'm actually living in a pretty popular area in the Orlando market. That's Orlando, Florida, just in case. So I thought it was interesting that there is some limitations there on what's going on that side, on what's going on with us on this Tuesday. What is it? It's a Democratic primary day.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
So anyways, as we continue with that information, let's go down the path. At least 5 earthquakes of magnitude 2.4 hit Tennessee and the Carolinas Sunday into Monday. That's not enough to cause much of a concern, but does raise eyebrows over the increased tectonic activity as of late. So not California, but Tennessee and Carolinas are not places that you normally get concerned about these earthquakes. But all of a sudden you hear stuff about this and you kind of start going, interesting timing on how this is taking place. Interesting timing on what's going on with some of that information. So let's take a look at that as we move forward. Anyway, let's continue. Acrolapis Aviation has unveiled an A3210. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Matter of fact, yeah, I think because the 0 is not a 320. It is the O, like Neo. So I don't know. But let's say it's a 320 Neo. Let's say it's a 321 Oneo, whatever, Airbus luxury retrofit. And it's creating a variability penthouse in the sky. The upgrades include accommodations to seat 19 people. A typical Airbus configuration can actually seat about 180 passengers. It also includes the largest private suite in a commercial airplane, including a bedroom and a private restroom. Acropolis is positioning this as a luxury option for corporate flying needs. Well, I don't know if this is a good time for that, based on what we're seeing. A lot of restrictions on what you can actually do flight-wise going into traveling and all that kind of fun stuff. So let's continue. The Central Intelligence Agency isn't letting coronavirus get in the way of intelligence gathering operations. While they can't institute a spy from home policy, they are taking steps to curb the spread of according to Reuters report. The outbreak has prompted the CIA to bar outside visitors from its buildings, and meetings with other government agencies are via teleconferencing. So I guess another teleconferencing sequence going on down that path. The Dow Jones finished down 2,999.1 points yesterday, and that was for Monday. A huge single-day loss and essentially losing a third of its value. And that's from its 30,000 points high just a month ago. Right now, the 12.94 loss was the second worst single day loss as a percentage. I know, not trying to be doom and gloom, but I'm trying to share the information with you on what's going on, okay? A movie box office sales plunge amid coronavirus spreading fears. Universal is releasing recent movies for streaming and download sooner than usual. Flicks like The Invisible Man, The Hunt, and Emma will be available online as soon as this weekend. Yeah, those are movies that are still currently in the movie theater. And as you are aware, some movie theater chains have went ahead and already moved forward on closing down, saying that they will not be open until later date. So keep that in mind as we are talking, as we are moving forward with this. Just want to let you know. I know the timing on this is not the greatest, but I'm going to share it with you. Lorenzo Brino has died. The actor who starred as one of the twins on the TV series Seventh Heaven passed away in a car accident on March the 9th. According to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, he was only one in the vehicle and was pronounced dead at the scene. I know. Just sharing information with you on what's going on. There's still a lot of politics on what's going on, a lot of stuff. I'm going to try to jump around and give you non-trashing politics on one side trying to trash the other. So I apologize as I go through this with some of the information. So let's go through from the top. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers on Monday imposed a mandatory maximum on the size of public gatherings. No more than 50 people are allowed to gather at once in effort to limit the spread of the coronavirus. In New York, gathering larger than 500 have now been barred. So that's a different place, of course. It's just the latest of tough states-based efforts to control the spread. Numerous states have canceled public schools for the foreseeable future and declared public health emergencies. Other states have gone even further. In California, bars, wineries, nightclubs, breweries, brew pubs, I guess that's kind of a combo thing there, have already been ordered to close, coming to a state near you. Of course, that's sarcasm written at the bottom of that. Momentum is growing to give each and every American a check from the federal government. The stimulus plan, which could include up to $700 billion, would send a check of $1,000 to every American, plus another $500 per every kid. Jason Furman, a former top economic advisor to failed former top economic advisor to failed former President Barack Obama, pitched the idea on NBC recently. The top economic advisor to failed former president. I don't know. I think that's sarcasm there too, but ignore that. So pitched the idea recently on NBC. Blah, blah, blah. Mitt Romney likes the idea. The Utah Republican proposed the identical plan on Monday. Meanwhile, the economic advisor Larry Kudlow said that the White House might be interested in pursuing it. President Trump has floated suspending payroll tax, which would help both workers and small business owners. President Trump introduced a set of federal guidelines on Monday in an effort to get the federal government arms around the coronavirus outbreak. In a coronavirus task force briefing, the president and health officials said you should avoid gathering of 10 people, that's 10 now or more. Older people should keep their distance from others, avoid bars and restaurants, work from home if all possible. The president acknowledged that the economy would be headed into a recession, but wanted to keep the focus on the virus. He also admitted containing the coronavirus could take as long as all summer. He might not be out of the woods until July or August. This is according to what the president said. It's also a bitter pill for Wall Street. Major indexes suffered their worst point decline since 1987. The coronavirus relief bill is one step closer to President Trump's desk. The House finally got it together and passed the measures on Monday. The bill, the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, now goes into the Senate. If it passes and it goes to Trump's desk, the package provides income relief for people financially impacted by the outbreak, including paid sick leave, waives food stamps for work requirements, and helps food banks, health workers, and the elderly. So some other things that you are seeing there right away. So let's continue. Ohio state law prevents the governor from moving its election, but Kentucky doesn't. State officials announced Monday that their primary will be now on May the 19th. And it was supposed to be on May the 19th, will now be moved to June the 23rd due to the rapidly unfolding coronavirus pandemic. Kentucky joins Louisiana and Georgia in delaying the presidential primary. In announcing the date change, Kentucky Secretary of State said that the unprecedented times and the move will give the local officials time to figure out what the heck they need to do. To the wheels quickly fell off of Joe Biden's virtual town hall on Monday. The entire thing was plagued with technical bugs, garbled audio, and Joe not knowing if it was still on camera or not. The virtual town hall was originally supposed to be an irregular town hall, but it was moved online at the last moment in response to the coronavirus outbreak. I know a lot of stuff that we're talking about, corona this, corona that. That's the world right now. I have to tell you, I know you're seeing a lot of it. I know that you're seeing the information everywhere. This is what I am currently living, because besides that I'm bringing you the information, this is all I'm looking up at. I have to bring the info to you because I think that it's important for what we're doing. As I told you from the very beginning, we are bringing every hour at the top of the hour. Our news partner, Feature Story News, is giving you all of the most current information that we can find. So I am bringing this to you as much as we can. We're bringing it to you at safetyfm.com, safetyfm.live, the different apps that we have inside of the Google Play Store, inside of the Apple Store, inside of also the Alexa skill. Now, understand, because a lot of people have questions about this, and I never understand this, we have never been a charge service. We do not charge a service fee for using our apps or anything to that extent, and that's not the plan. Never has been the plan. I never wanted to be a charge format, so not planning on changing to that. Don't want you to think that that's going to be the next surprise here. I'm telling you that this is available to you as a resource. All of our podcasts, all of our shows are free resources to what's going on in our world. So I just want you to know that that is available to you. So let's continue. Let's continue talking for a moment. I want to cover some other things with you. And as I was doing some research today, I didn't do the research again for the days of the year that you can celebrate. I just didn't think that it's appropriate. I think that it's one of those things that we just need to consider at the time. But I did see somebody do this, and I wanted to reference it because I thought it was a genius idea. And when we originally started the Rated R Safety Show, we talked to people and we said, listen, we want you to come on and rant. We want you to come on and say the things that you like and you don't like, that you love and you hate. I think that right now, we all need 30 seconds. We need 30 seconds in our life to talk about the things that have pissed us off. I think that we need 30 seconds, and even if it's not related to this and it's related to something else, for you to take the next 30 seconds and get that out of your system. So I'm going to throw my timer off of my phone, and I want you to say what comes to your mind. I'm going to mute my microphone as I do it, but I want you to take 30 seconds to do the same. So I'm not giving you dead air, so it's going to be 30 seconds of nothing for sure, but I want you to say what comes to your mind. What are you frustrated about? What are your grieving points? So let's start that 30 seconds in 3. If you're watching, you'll see the video. If you're not watching, the countdown to the 30 seconds will start in 3, 2, 1. Now, I will tell you, I've always been told in radio, never use dead air. But I think that we needed to get that out of our systems. I will also tell you that the information that we're seeing is pretty interesting because there's a lot of things going on out there. Because what I'm noticing, and I got somebody who actually just messaged through, so there's a message from Mary Ferry. And people are thinking that this is not true, that the COVID-19 is fake news. I'll tell you, I've been to a couple of websites that have said that. I have been to several different places that have referenced that as well. I will tell you that as it does happen, and people think that, I think that the problem here goes based on this. Because a lot of people are not seeing this in real time, and they're not seeing the effect right there, they believe that it's fake. Now, if you're in Washington State, are you seeing that as an issue of people thinking that it's fake news? If you're in Southern California, are you seeing that as an issue as well as fake news? I don't know. I keep on looking at it and I go, I don't believe that this is fake. I mean, you can sit around and say that you think that it is. It's perfectly fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That's great. That's a great thing about this. But there's certain things that are out there that you kind of have to take a look at. And I've been saying this from the very beginning, that I have found the different websites referencing different things. So keep that in mind as well. Now, I do appreciate the people that are actually online watching this. Now, if you are listening to us on safetyfm.com, and on safetyfm.live, we are going to do what we have been doing traditionally, where I will drop you off from the radio station and the podcast. We will continue for a little bit here on the Rated R Safety Show streaming platform. That's perfectly fine. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm still going to tell you everything that I always tell you, because I think it's important. If you need anything, if we can assist with anything, go to safetyfm.com, go to safetyfm.live. Safetyfm.com has a bot on there. You can leave a question, you can leave information, things that you want to share. We can get that information out there for you. Respond as quickly as possible. Understand that if there are people that you normally interact with and they're by themselves and they're single, this is going to be a time of depression for a lot of people out there, because we are social animals. And if they're telling you to isolate and stay away from certain people, this is going to be a difficult time for them. You need to think and consider about going out and not going out. Let me phrase that properly, about actually contacting these people and seeing how they're doing. I think it's so crucial for us to stay in contact with people that we know. By the way, I did give them a hard time yesterday, and I was kind of a jerk, and I want to reference this today. I kept on talking about WrestleMania yesterday, the WWE, and saying, hey, that this was the biggest event, and they have decided not to cancel it, that Tampa was going to make the decision. Well, the WWE pulled the trigger last night and said, listen, we are not going to host WrestleMania at Raymond James Stadium, where that is where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play, on the 5th of April. But what they said that they are going to do is they're not canceling the event, which I was like, okay, I don't understand this shit. What they're going to do is they're going to turn around and still have the event with no one inside of the arena on where they're going to have it. So they're still going to put it on April the 5th, 7 o'clock at night. Now, I'm not saying that that's important to you in regards of watching it, but what they are going to do is have that event there to entertain the public. It is one of their biggest viewed events every year, year after year, and they're still going to manage to put that on. Now, keep in mind, we're still talking about 2 weeks out. We have noticed how much the world has changed from last week to this week.
Duh.
So I don't want it to be one of those things that we say, hey, it's set in stone. But I also wanted to be aware that back during September 11th of 2001, they were the first company to go out and actually do a first public get-together once everything had happened. I have to admire that from a company that's trying to still promote their stuff to entertain their fans. And yes, I know that we can sit here and say, oh, wrestling's fake. Well, I won't say wrestling's fake. I will say wrestling is predetermined. I still don't understand how you can fake getting hit with a chair. It is predetermined. Those athletes work year-round because they are athletes. And they are still doing it. Now, keep in mind, the financial loss that these people are taking for doing this has to be astronomical. They get normally 80 to 90,000 people inside of there. And they're taking the financial loss to still put on the event to be able to entertain people. Disney yesterday, like we already discussed, released Frozen early. Movies now, as we discussed earlier in the news, are going to start being released sooner. They're trying to lose focus. We still need to make sure that we still have a normal, some normalcy to this society. We still need to do some of those things. The other portion I want to think about is make sure that you're vetting the information that you're getting of the different sources that are telling you X, Y, and Z. Make sure they're trusted sources. I think it's so important. I really do. Anyways, you've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show. Like always, you are the most important portion of Safety FM, the listener. I know who you are. You know who I am. I'm going to drop you off right now if you're listening on the podcast or on the radio station. But if you hang out with me here on the streamer, we will go ahead and move forward with you just for a little bit longer. A little bit of overtime is what we're going to call it. Anyways, you've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show. Love you, mean it. Bye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.